الاشتراك اللي بيجي حدث يعني. يا رب انه يعجبكم ان شاء الله. ان شاء الله أبوريكم الشاي على السريع. تكون هذه ضعيفة بس الدور الثاني من الجلطان بالجلطان. أوريكم اصبروا. هذه الأشياء العادية ما جبنا شيء. والآن نروح هنا. عادية كلها صح. معايا دراجون ومعايا السيكل. ايش اسمه؟ السيكل منكسر.
Centraluci nuclearucci.
سمبوسة ودراجون وما ادري ايش اسمه ذا. المهم من الاشياء ان شاء الله يجينا الفيل الفرولة ان شاء الله على طول. 80. لا تنسون اللايك والاشتراك. بس هذا اللي انا احب اقوله.
Espressona signora.
ايش جا؟ خليني اطلع افضل بدل ما اقعد. لا شيء ولا مش شيء. ليش اقعد بدون مشغلة؟ اخذ لي سكرين يعني. طيب كان فيلم لكن ندوس على طبعها. اوه ما دريت. ما ايش في حط الأشياء جديدة بس نحط صديقة تعجبها هذا. حط هذا من علم الرتبة يا أخوان. كلمة غريب وحش مدري ايش شاد. طيب نلعب هذا لا اكيد.
Game plan set up for this early game, so maybe, if there's an east side zone, we could see more engagements back at Dirty Docks, but Chat Flixie have been playing incredibly consistent so far as we head over to Steamy. Stacks, Kiro, Ping.
Decent amount of success in that first lobby for Ping and Kiro, but they know they've got a decent amount of work cut out for them. The nice thing though about Steamy Stacks is that they can afford hang around a little bit longer. Pretty easy to make rotations with Darkos and Minority kind of just lurking underneath them. This isn't like an early contest in comparison to some of these other teams like Sky Scroll. They know Maria's eye drop nearby. Still not looking to take the bait just yet though. They're content to just continue farming out as much. And we're probably eliminated a little bit sooner than what they've been hoping for in that last lobby, but one more time, Takata, it's just really showcasing how much more difficult it really is when you keep cutting down to only finding exclusively the best reload teams from EU.
Yeah, they have been playing quite passive too, kind of staying away from Slurpee despite wanting to upgrade those Morphites as well. Beamish, Darm, just setting themselves up positioning wise here. You see a lot of kind of passive play, just getting max materials, getting your loadout you want, because later on in reload, I mean, you're so compact with the players around you, it's incredibly difficult to come back from, you know, getting eliminated despite being able to reboot. Actually having your resources recuperated, getting the loot is near impossible with this caliber of lobby.
But I'm feeling real good if I'm Darm or Deemish right now, especially after seeing Deemish just frying players nonstop, one after the other in those endgame moments. He really clutched up some solid placement points there too. But for Twek and Midro, they're just looking to try and replicate their early success from that first lobby. They did an excellent job of just holding down the high ground and just staying uncontested throughout. But might not be same case scenario for lobby 2. Prism, Casper, they know that they still got Chat Flixie lurking, and it makes sense given that Chap and Flixie on that uncontested west side of Slurpee Swamp. So they're looking to try and maybe find a earlier pressure point. So Prism, Casper, being an uncontested team over by Fort Crumpet, it just makes sense to try and see what they can get.
Yeah, with a similar zone pull as well, these players are going to start kind of seeing the habits of the teams around them, where they like to base up, where they like to look for tags, and hopefully capitalize it as we move on throughout the day. It is 8 matches to be played out versus the standard, 6 in regular BR. Picks Combeck opting to kind of just reform a bit of Slurpee here. Entered Pico Malabuca's territory, close to Momsy Sato.
This could be real trouble right now, though, for Pablo and Chino. Forced to retreat. SnozQ and Multi are actually going to be the aggressors here. And you don't want to get too far caught out towards this southern position of Fort Crumpet. I mean, you get really easy to be held by a team, and Casper, or a little bit further in. Pablo, Chino, maybe just hoping that they can find a couple of quick and easy eliminations, but there's nothing quick and easy about this scale of lobby in the Reload Elite Series Finals, Takata. And they'll wait for the initial rotations to come through. First out of SnozQ and Multi. Not going to bother sending any tags out just yet. Are fully aware of the fact they don't want to be held too far back, and they'll have to forfeit a little bit of pressure here, but makes sense. They're just being reasonable. They don't want to draw too much focus.
Momsy Sato now looking to go against Saren Fazox. Oh. The thing with these, like you were mentioning in the last match, Taco, these early game kind of engagements with potential kind of constant ticks from Storm is you might be able to get away with it in opens or heats, but if you spend too much time here, we saw last game almost, I mean, basically did come down to a heal-off, so with the med missed grenades in Sato's inventory, a key factor to the reload game mode currently, the meta of how these teams are playing out. You want to be able to tank as much Storm as possible in those final circles, and the more you do it now, the less you're going to be able to later.
But it's a solid dead side position currently for Sato and Momsy, and if they can avoid a lot of the congestion that became so problematic for some of these other teams later on, for some of those like 7th and 8th zone rotates. I mean, we even saw iDrop and Marius, they got picked off by Sharkantini, for example. It's just very difficult to actually move with so many players kind of just piled on top of each other. And not only that, Takata, but we are in 5th zone, and yet every single team is still in this lobby. And I almost expect that to be a recurring theme up until the reboots disabled actually reign through at the start of that 7th zone, and it's just for good reason. Nobody wants to be the first one out, and sure, you can maybe build up a little bit of catch-up off of elimination points, but these teams are just not giving a whole lot of anything to work with. And Casper, Prism, just waiting for their opportunity, but everybody can see where everyone else is based up at. There is pretty much nowhere to hide.
Yeah, completely open. Like you were mentioning, this is 6th zone closing. Once that 7th appears, reboots are completely disabled. So this is kind of your last chance to solidify yourself in a position where you want to play those moving zones. Put aside Asa, though. Great job kind of rotating themselves in. What they do have to be careful of is not getting caught off guard too late when the zone's already closed and everybody's already made their rotates, because they're just going to end up being the focus on their way back. But for Kiro and Ping, might have got themselves into a little tussle, but so far looks quite safe.
A lot of these fights are still just kind of fizzling out on their own, but Lusha, Mappy, all he wants is for his duo to actually regroup with them. Kiro and Ping, they're going to take their opening to just get a move on. But this is a rough spot to be now. Lusha and Mappy, you never want to be some of the last to rotate in. Very strong odds of being held on the edge of zone, especially when a team like Casper and Prism are still holding themselves as the centerpiece. They recognize the fact, hey, at least one player got eliminated, and that's an opportunity for us to try and take advantage of from the reboots. This Chat Flixie just extending a lot of space here. They've put out so many boxes. And Lusha already on the opposite end. Snosky, multi. Look, Deemish Darm, though, on the other hand, they are rather isolated in Stilltown.
Next zone will be a half and half, so a lot of players kind of playing the edges here. This Exofsky and Saren could get a massive pull if it ends up going back to them.
Teeny just sitting out with that Ranger shotgun. Can really pack a punch, but also got to be very wary of not drawing too much focus here. Happy and Lusha, they might not have any idea, though, that Teeny and Shark are still just sitting nearby. This is just such a prominent strategy, too, that Teeny has proven time and time again he loves to do. He will just set up in one spot, and he is so patient, and it almost always rewards him. Happy and Lusha is still a little bit cautious. Ooh. They're moving forward, but Shark and Teeny, the moment they get behind them, they might find the opportunity to actually pounce Snuz, Q, and Multi, though. They'll be forced to retreat. Pablo and Chino now going on the aggressive front here.
Looking to see if they can find an opening. They don't want to overextend themselves, though. They still have a bit of a rotate to come through. Potential shots now. Crash pad going to be used. Want to stay grouped together is the big importance here. Got to be careful of players landing in their box, but Shark and Teeny up in the clouds, making their way down.
Taking a little bit of lobby focus for it, but more than enough builds to work through. And they managed to pull themselves towards more of a dead side position. Break the rest of the lobby here. Fix Convec. Got 3 shockwaves. They are going to have to expend some of their healing resources, replenish their shield. 1 Medmis grenade now remains 4 picks. A refresh for a loadout switch up more than the builds. Could be the intention here as Vico, Malabuka saw them trying to get scrappy in that last lobby. It almost seems like after the first game, Takata, everyone has kind of just slowed down the pace a bit.
That they have 36 out of the 40 duos still up and running. 8th zone, as now the chaos is starting to unfold. Shark and Teeny in a good position, quickly cut off by Sky and Scroll, though, as players are falling like flies out of the sky, one after the other. What you want to do here is just make sure you're as close to as possible as to your duo.
Mappy doesn't even get the chance to land. It was already a very difficult spot, just having been eliminated right before the reboot's disabled in the first place, but now he won't have an opportunity to come back. Hero and Ping, everyone trying to make their plays for that frontside high position, just getting nestled in here, but Kiro, Ping, they can't get comfortable anytime soon. They know that there's just too many players leading towards backside of their tarps here. They might actually have a moment to look for an isolation play onto Pix, but instead, High Drop working his way up towards High Asa and Podesai. And Podesai is a really interesting player too, just because one of the first times that we're seeing him not playing with a French player, and it seems like he's had a good amount of success with that switch up onto Asa, but Hydra and Marius, they started things off hot at Slurp.
Marius.
realizes, hey, these teams are getting a little bit scatterbrained here on the bottom layers, and Marius, he's going to be eliminated, just 2 separated from iDrop. Too easy. Now, and Asa will find the elimination onto Flixie, but he doesn't actually have a chance to get the body just yet. Finally will get an opportunity to replenish all the Siphon materials, but that just gives the opening for Vico and Malabuka to now take over height.
Looking good. The issue is you need to stay a few layers above. Those shockwaves can be detrimental, especially in the later half of the game. But a lot of the players have to keep in mind it's med miss grenade time. You can tank zone. You can use it to get ahead. You can use it to retake height. That just puts so much more pressure on the players in a good position. Malabuka sent all the way into Storm, has to find his way back to Vico. Luckily enough, he's got a med kit he can use here. A little bit of time to breathe as Chat picks up one more. Now the players down below in pure chaos in the swamp, tripping as Teeny and Shark are going to be the ones to look to hold on to high ground.
Nah, that was a full sabotage onto Vico and Malabuka, and getting shockwaved back so far into the storm. But Teeny, Shark, they might not have a lot of material here, Takada, but they've got all the positioning. That is, up until teams begin to notice, they are going to chop them out. A reconnect almost immediately there from Teeny to hold on for the time being. But Sky, Scroll, low ground is where they had so much of their success in their heats and a lot of the reload competition leading up to this series finals. But they're going to have to keep trying to control this front side position. Looking to cut off another team. Momzi Sato on the opposite end here. With Scroll, he's going to get himself knocked, and now Sky forced to try and see what he can put together as a solo. Sato and Momzi might just be able to fully overtake on that front side low position here now. Twek, Miro, opposite end of the scope from where they were in the last lobby, looking to see if they can get a little bit of leeway to build up here, but Teeny and Shark are doing an excellent job at defending their position.
They are looking up, though. You know they want it. You can tell they want a repeat of last match. Shark Teeny, though, they're not going to want to let that happen. Second height now for Myjo and Twek. Shark Teeny trying to connect the previous builds. They want to do what they can to hold on to the position as Shark's now cut off from his teammate. Twek, though, unexpected visitors. Quick pump gets connected. One elimination down, looking for the second, as now they got to get back ahead, but got to be careful. Player after player jumping into their box, but the good news is Twek isn't missing a single shot.
This is exactly what Twek needed. Every single one of those connections, every single one of those refreshes, his Chat will be eliminated. Sky right after. Mitro and Twek are just taking over 7 eliminations. If you hadn't heard of them before, you are certainly going to remember them right now. Josh, Pink, directly underneath. Twek and Mitro have really forced everybody in those lower layers, and Teeny, Shark, they're going to be forced to drop. They don't have any more materials. One more shockwave. Teeny trying to see if he can find anything on the way back down, but all he's going to encounter is Twek and Mithra. He'll use his last shockwave to try and create a little bit of a gap, a little bit of space. But at this point, Takada, Twek and Mithra know what kind of advantage. They are fully in the saddle now. One more elimination. Shark, return fire. But it's just too little too late, as Darkos and Minori are now one of the only duos left standing here to deal with Twek and Mithro. Are we about to see a back-to-back? This is 3 medkits now for Mithro. Twek just trying to play Saboteur to the other healthy duo. And Minori, he's hoping for the Siphon, but against 2 medkits here for Mithro, that should just be it. Mithro will bring it home, but victory royale and the heal-off secured.
They got the job done. It was looking like a trampoline park for a second with the shockwave after shockwave, bouncy house action, but the back-to-back is gonna come through. Heal off once again, being able to close it out. Taco, honestly, if you didn't have these 2 on your radar, now you do. Put some respect on their name. Let's go back to the desk and see what they have to say.
Thank you very much. So it wasn't the zone thing. Twek and Mijos are showing that they can conquer everything. And they don't just pick up a second victory royale. They pick up a load of eliminations with it, Reese.
Absolutely, and it's kind of a contrast to their first game. They won with a single elimination by just playing slow and high. And Levin, at the end of that game, you said, kind of scared to see how these zones pull. And what do they do if something else happens? I mean, here's your answer.
That was about Prison. That was about different.
That was about Prism. Sorry, I'll give you that.
What I did say about Twek's duo, what I did say about them was I wanted to see, do they have the variety in their playstyle? They absolutely showed that in this game. oh my goodness, they were moving nasty on some of their mid-ground layers. Like, I want to see the highlights because they were really clean. Some of their limbs they were picking up. You see this here, Twek. There's a point where he jumps in the box, yeah? He just slides across the guy's box. He doesn't say, right here. Oh, bang, slide, pump in the head, bang. They've gone back to the lobby. I mean, these guys, we might have just discovered, like, the GOATs right now with Reload. Like, where does this come from? Back-to-back games? I think all the people viewing partying right now would have done their top 5 lists. If any of them had Twek and Midro on their top 5, they have exposed themselves as time travelers. Nobody was expecting his team to have this type of performance. I'm very impressed. I mean, long may it continue.
I mean, I've looked at the top 5 predictions that people have made so far. I can tell you, you're correct. They're nowhere. I don't see them on any, and I can tell you right now, they weren't on mine either.
We've got to go to a short break. I've got so many questions. Hopefully you boys can answer them in just a few minutes.
Oh.